Commander Hana Kim stood at the observation deck of Unity Station, Earth's largest orbital platform. She watched the stars through the thick glass, just like she had done every morning for the past 3 years. Today was different, though. Today, the stars were moving. At first, she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. The bright dots in the distance seemed to shift and grow larger. Then the reality hit her like a cold wave. Those were not stars, at all. They were ships. Massive ships that made Earth's biggest vessels look like toys. "Commander Kim, please report to the communications center immediately," the station's voice system announced. Hana's heart began to race. She had been expecting this day for months, but now that it was here, she felt unprepared. The communications center buzzed with activity. Officers ran between computer screens while red warning lights flashed overhead. Captain Do-Hyun Choi, her most trusted friend and advisor, met her at the entrance. "How many ships?" Hana asked without greeting. "Over 2,000, Commander. They appeared out of nowhere about 10 minutes ago. Our sensors couldn't detect them until they were practically on top of us," Do-Hyun replied, his voice tight with worry. Hana nodded and walked to the main viewing screen. The image showed space filled with alien vessels of incredible size. The smallest ship was at least 5 times bigger than Earth's largest battleship. The biggest ones were so massive they blocked out entire sections of stars behind them. "Have they tried to communicate?" she asked. "Yes, Commander. They sent a message in perfect English. They want to speak with Earth's highest representative. That would be you." Hana took a deep breath. As Earth's chief diplomatic representative, she had prepared for this moment. Every expert on the planet agreed that first contact with alien life would be the most important event in human history. Now it was happening, and she was the one who had to handle it. "Put them through," she ordered. The main screen changed to show the inside of an alien ship. The being that appeared was unlike anything Hana had imagined. It stood nearly 3 meters tall with gray skin that seemed to shimmer like metal. Its eyes were large and black, and it wore what looked like ceremonial robes covered in strange symbols. "Greetings, primitive species of the third planet," the alien said. Its voice was deep and came through perfectly translated. "I am Counselor Rathak of the Galactic Hegemony. We have come to offer you a great gift." Hana stepped forward, trying to appear calm and confident. "Welcome to Earth's space, Counselor Rathak. I am Commander Hana Kim, speaking for all humanity." "What gift do you offer?" The alien's expression did not change. "We offer you peace, protection, and advancement. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Hegemony has brought order to this galaxy. We have united over 40,000 species under our guidance. Today, we extend this same opportunity to humanity." "And what would this opportunity require from us?" Hana asked, though she already suspected the answer would not be good. Counselor Rathak gestured with one long arm. "The terms are simple and fair. Your species will sign the Galactic Peace Agreement. You will surrender all weapons of war and disband your military forces. You will provide 60% of your adult population to work on hegemony worlds where their labor is needed. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of space and provide you with basic technology to improve your lives." The room fell silent. Hana felt her stomach drop. Around her, she could hear sharp intakes of breath from her officers. This was not an offer of friendship. This was a demand for surrender disguised as a gift. 60% of our population," Hana repeated slowly. "You want us to give you more than half of our people." "Correct. They will be relocated to worlds where they can contribute to the greater good of the galaxy. Do not worry about their welfare. The hegemony treats all workers fairly and provides for their basic needs." "And if we refuse this generous offer?" Hana asked. The alien's black eyes seemed to grow darker. "Refusal is not recommended. No species has ever refused the peace agreement once they understood the benefits. Those who initially resist always come to see the wisdom of cooperation." Behind Counselor Rathak, Hana could see other aliens moving around. Some operated strange machines, while others stood in formation like soldiers. The message was clear without being spoken. Accept or face the consequences. "We will need time to consider your proposal," Hana said carefully. "Of course, we understand this is an important decision. You have 72 Earth hours to give us your answer. During this time, our fleet will remain in position around your planet to ensure your safety from any outside threats. The screen went dark, leaving the communication center in tense silence. Dr. Minji Lee, Earth's top expert on alien cultures, was the first to speak. Commander, I've been analyzing their language patterns and body language. This Counselor Rathak showed no signs of deception, but also no signs of compassion or flexibility. I believe he meant every word exactly as he said it. Admiral Jiho Park, commander of Earth's defense fleet, stepped forward. Commander, I've run preliminary scans on their ships. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, maybe thousands of years ahead. If they decide to attack, we wouldn't last more than a few hours. Hana turned to face her team. These were Earth's best and brightest minds, people she had worked with for years to prepare for this exact situation. Now their preparations were being put to the ultimate test. Has anyone else dealt with this galactic hegemony before? She asked. Do-Yun checked his tablet. We're receiving hidden transmissions from several sources. It appears other alien species are trying to contact us without the hegemony knowing. Put them through secretly. The screen flickered and showed a different alien, this one smaller with blue skin and large eyes full of sadness. Humans, we are the Kef. Our world signed the peace agreement 50 years ago. Now our children work in hegemony mines and our culture is forgotten. They will tell you it is for the greater good, but it is slavery. Choose carefully. More messages came through from different species. All told similar stories. The peace agreement led to the end of their independence, the separation of families, and the slow death of their civilizations. Hana looked around the room at her colleagues. She could see the same thoughts in their eyes that were racing through her mind. This was not a choice between peace and war. This was a choice between slavery and freedom. The question was simple but terrible. Would humanity surrender without a fight, or would they stand against impossible odds for the right to remain free? The answer would determine the fate of every human being alive. Hana Kim had not slept for 2 days. She sat in the Unity Station Council chamber surrounded by reports, data files, and empty coffee cups. Through the large window, she could see the alien fleet hanging in space like dark clouds before a storm. The emergency meeting had been going on for 18 hours. Representatives from every major nation on Earth argued back and forth about what humanity should do. Some wanted to accept the Galactic Peace Agreement. Others demanded they fight. The room was filled with raised voices and angry gestures. "Have no choice," shouted Director Thompson from the North American Federation. "Their ships could destroy every city on Earth in minutes. At least if we sign the agreement, most of our people will survive." "Survive as slaves," Admiral Jiho Park replied firmly. Those secret messages were clear. Every species that signed this agreement lost everything that made them who they were. Ambassador Yuna Seo, Earth's former peace negotiator, stood up slowly. She looked tired and worried. "I have spent my entire career avoiding wars. But this is not about war or peace. This is about whether humans will exist as a free people or become property of an alien empire." The arguing continued. Hana listened to every word, but her mind was already made up. She had read every report and studied every piece of information they had gathered. The conclusion was always the same. The galactic hegemony was not offering peace. They were demanding surrender. Dr. Minji Lee entered the chamber carrying a tablet. "Commander, we have finished analyzing the hidden messages from the other alien species. The pattern is always the same. First comes the peace agreement. Then the relocations begin. Within 20 years, the original species becomes scattered across different worlds, working in mines or factories. Their languages die out. Their cultures disappear. Eventually, they become just another worker group in the hegemony system." "How many species have refused?" Hana asked. "According to our sources, none. In 10,000 years, no species has ever said no to the galactic hegemony." The room fell quiet. The weight of that statement settled on everyone present. Humanity would be the first to refuse, if they chose to refuse at all. Captain Do-Yun Choi spoke up. "Commander, our defense forces are ready to support whatever decision you make. Our pilots know the odds, but they are willing to fight. Director Thompson slammed his hand on the table. This is madness. We are talking about the survival of our entire species. How can we risk everything on pride? It is not pride, Hannah said quietly, but her voice carried across the room. It is principle. What good is survival if we cease to be human? She stood up and walked to the large display screen showing Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe that its future hung in the balance of the next few hours. I have made my decision, Hannah announced. I will refuse the Galactic peace agreement. The room exploded in voices. Some people cheered while others shouted in anger. Director Thompson stood up red-faced. You do not have the authority to make that decision alone. The World Council must vote. The World Council gave me full authority to handle first contact situations, Hannah replied calmly. This is my responsibility, and I will not pass it to others. Admiral Park moved to stand beside her. The Earth Defense Fleet supports Commander Kim's decision. We would rather die fighting than live as slaves. Over the next hour, the arguments continued, but Hannah's supporters grew stronger. One by one, representatives began to understand that accepting the agreement meant the end of human civilization as they knew it. Finally, Hannah called for quiet. I will broadcast my response to the galactic hegemony in 1 hour. Anyone who disagrees is free to leave Earth before that happens. No one left the room. Exactly 71 hours and 30 minutes after the aliens had given their ultimatum, Hannah Kim stood before the communication array. The message would be broadcast not only to the hegemony fleet, but across the entire galaxy through their communication networks. Captain Do-hyun activated the transmitter. You are broadcasting to the galaxy, Commander. Hannah looked directly into the camera. She thought about all the humans who would hear this message, and all the alien species across the galaxy who had never heard anyone refuse the hegemony. I am Commander Hannah Kim, speaking for all of humanity. We have considered your offer of a galactic peace agreement. We have studied the terms carefully and examined the experiences of other species who accepted similar agreements. She paused, knowing that her next words would change everything. We refuse your offer. Humanity chooses to stand free whatever the cost may be. We will not surrender our weapons, our people, or our independence. If you wish to take these things from us, you will have to fight for them. The transmission continued. To the species across the galaxy who may be listening, know this. Freedom is worth fighting for, even when the odds seem impossible. Today, humanity makes its stand. We invite any who share our values to stand with us. She ended the transmission and stepped back from the camera. Within minutes, the response came from Counselor Rathak. His image appeared on the main screen, and this time he did not look calm. His black eyes seemed to burn with anger. Foolish primitives, he said. In 10,000 years, no species has been so stupid as to refuse our generous offer. You will regret this decision. Your planet is now under complete blockade. No ships will enter or leave your system. Your trade will end. Your economy will collapse. When your people are starving and dying, you will beg us to accept the agreement. We understand the consequences, Hannah replied. Our answer remains no. The alien's expression grew darker. Very well. You have chosen your fate. Do not think you can change your minds later. The next time we speak, it will be to accept your unconditional surrender. The screen went black. Immediately, alarms began sounding throughout Unity Station. The alien fleet was moving into blockade positions around Earth. Any ship trying to leave the planet would be stopped or destroyed. But something unexpected was happening as well. The secret communication channels were lighting up with messages from alien resistance groups across the galaxy. Hannah's broadcast had reached them, and for the first time in 10,000 years, they had heard someone say no to the galactic hegemony. Commander, Dr. Lee reported, we are receiving hundreds of coded messages. Many alien species are expressing support for our decision. Some are asking for copies of our broadcast to share with their own people. Admiral Park smiled grimly. It seems our refusal has caused quite a stir in the galaxy. Hana nodded. She had expected the hegemony's anger, but this support from unknown aliens across the galaxy gave her hope. Humanity's stand might inspire others to remember what freedom meant. The war had not yet begun, but the battle for the hearts and minds of the galaxy had already started. Prepare all defense systems, Hana ordered, and send a message to every human settlement in the solar system. Tell them that Earth has chosen freedom over slavery. Now we must prove ourselves worthy of that choice. The fight for humanity's future was about to begin. 3 weeks had passed since Hana Kim's historic refusal. Earth buzzed with activity like a disturbed beehive. Every factory, every laboratory, and every military base worked around the clock to prepare for a war that everyone knew they could not win through strength alone. Dr. Minji Lee stood in the main research laboratory beneath Unity Station. Around her, dozens of scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology that had been secretly provided by sympathetic species across the galaxy. Small packages appeared regularly in hidden locations on Earth, each containing advanced equipment and detailed instructions. The power source is unlike anything we have ever seen, Minji explained to Hana during their daily briefing. It uses quantum energy manipulation that our physics textbooks say should be impossible. But somehow we are making it work. Hana examined the strange device on the laboratory table. It looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wiring, but it glowed with an inner light that hurt to look at directly. How many of these can we build? With the materials our alien friends have provided, maybe 50. Each one has enough power to run a battleship for a year. Captain Do-Yun Choi entered the laboratory, carrying a tablet filled with training reports. His face showed the exhaustion that everyone felt these days, but his eyes remained determined. Commander, our pilots are adapting faster than we hoped. The new flight simulators that use alien technology are pushing them beyond what we thought humans could handle. How are they performing? Hana asked. Better than expected. Human reflexes and creative thinking give us advantages that pure technology cannot provide. Our pilots are learning to use unpredictable tactics that confuse alien combat systems. Hana nodded. This was what they were counting on. Humans might not have the best technology, but they had something the galaxy had not seen in 10,000 years. They had the desperate creativity of a free people fighting for their survival. A soft chime announced an incoming secret transmission. The laboratory's main screen flickered and showed a small alien with blue skin and large, frightened eyes. Hana recognized it as one of the Kef, the species that had first warned them about the true nature of the peace agreement. Humans, I am scientist Kef-7, the alien said in a whisper. I risk my life to bring you this information. The hegemony is preparing a test attack on your moon base. They want to see how you fight before they commit their main forces. Hana leaned forward. When? In 7 of your days, they will send 100 ships. If you fight well, they will respect you more and might offer better surrender terms. If you fight poorly, they will destroy everything. The transmission ended abruptly. Hana looked around the laboratory at her team. 7 days to prepare for humanity's first real battle with alien forces. Minji, how many new weapons can we build in a week? Maybe 20 of the quantum cannons and 50 of the improved missile systems. Not enough to defeat 100 ships, but enough to make them think twice. Admiral Ji-Ho Park's voice came through the communication system. Commander Kim, please report to the command center immediately. We have a situation. Hana rushed to the command center and found Park staring at multiple screens showing Earth's political situation. Several world leaders were making angry speeches while protesters filled the streets of major cities. What is happening? Hana asked. Director Thompson and his supporters are attempting a coup. They claim you have doomed humanity and they want to send a surrender message to the hegemony before the attack begins. Hana felt her heart sink. She had expected this. Fear could make people do desperate things, even when those things would only make their situation worse. How many military units support them? About 30%. The good news is that all our best pilots and most experienced officers remain loyal. The bad news is that we might have to fight our own people while preparing to fight aliens. Before Hana could respond, another alarm sounded. Captain Do-Hyun's voice came through the speakers. Commander, We have an unauthorized launch from Earth Defense Base 7. 3 ships are heading toward the alien fleet carrying surrender messages. Hana closed her eyes for a moment. This was exactly what she had feared would happen. Can we stop them? Not without destroying them. And that would mean firing on our own people. Let them go, Hana decided. But make sure the hegemony knows. They do not speak for all of humanity. Over the next 2 hours, the political crisis deepened. Director Thompson appeared on global broadcasts claiming that Hana Kim had lost her authority and that Earth needed to surrender before it was too late. Crowds gathered in the streets, some supporting him and others supporting Hana. But something unexpected happened. The 3 surrender ships were destroyed by the alien fleet before they could deliver their messages. Counselor Rathak sent a cold response to Earth. The galactic hegemony does not negotiate with cowards who change their minds when faced with difficulty. Your original representative made your choice. Now you will live with the consequences of that choice. The political crisis ended as quickly as it had begun. Even Thompson's supporters realized that the aliens would not accept a surrender now. Humanity had committed itself to this path, and there was no turning back. Ambassador Yunasio took charge of unifying the planet's response. She organized massive volunteer efforts to support the war preparation. Millions of people worked without pay to build weapons, grow food, and maintain the equipment that would keep Earth running during the blockade. We have become something we have never been before, Yuna told Hana during a quiet moment. We are not just different nations sharing a planet. We are truly one people, fighting for one cause. As the week progressed, more alien allies made contact. A species called the Morphics provided detailed information about hegemony ship designs. Another group, the Vethans, shared tactical information about how hegemony forces typically attacked. Most importantly, they all shared the same message. What humanity was doing had never been attempted before. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone was preparing to fight the galactic hegemony as equals rather than victims. On the night before the expected attack, Hana stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, looking toward Earth's moon. Luna Base was ready, armed with humanity's best weapons and defended by their most skilled pilots. It would be their first real test. Dr. Minji Lee joined her at the window. Commander, I have been thinking about what makes us different from all the other species that surrendered to the hegemony. What do you think it is? Hana asked. They all made logical decisions based on survival, but humans do not always choose logic over principle. Sometimes we choose to do what is right even when it seems foolish. Hana smiled. Let us hope that foolishness is enough to surprise an empire that has conquered the galaxy. Tomorrow would bring their first battle. Win or lose, humanity would show the galaxy what it meant to fight for freedom. The attack began at exactly dawn, Earth time. 100 hegemony warships approached Luna Base in perfect formation, their dark hulls gleaming in the sunlight. From Unity Station, Hana Kim watched the battle begin with a mixture of fear and pride. All Luna Base defenders, this is Admiral Park, came the voice over the communication system. Remember your training. Fight smart, not hard. Make every shot count. Captain Do-Hyun Choi commanded the lead squadron of human fighters. His voice was calm as he spoke to his pilots. Blue Squadron, remember what we learned. They expect us to fight like every other species. Let us show them how wrong they are. The first hegemony ships fired their energy weapons at Luna Base. The shots were precise and powerful, designed to destroy the base's shields quickly. But the human defenders had prepared for this. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, they scattered in all directions. What are they doing? Counselor Rathak demanded from his command ship. Why do they not defend their position? General Thuvan, the hegemony military commander, watched the battle with confusion. Their tactics make no sense. They are abandoning their strongest defensive positions. But Hana knew exactly what her people were doing. Human military doctrine had always been different from other species. When faced with a stronger enemy, humans did not try to match their strength. They found ways to use that strength against them. The scattered human fighters began attacking the hegemony ships from unexpected angles. They moved in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully planned. Each attack drew the alien ships further away from each other and into areas where human weapons worked best. Direct hit on Hegemony Ship 7, reported Do-hyun. Their shields are down 50%. Impossible, General Thuvan muttered. Our intelligence report said their weapons were primitive. What the general did not know was that human weapons were no longer primitive. Dr. Minji Lee's team had combined alien technology with human engineering in ways that even their alien allies had not thought possible. The result was weapons that were less powerful than hegemony equipment but far more unpredictable. The battle continued for 3 hours. The human defenders used every trick they could think of. They hid behind asteroids and struck when the enemy was not looking. They sent false signals to confuse alien sensors. They even used debris from destroyed ships as weapons. Most importantly, they showed something the galaxy had not seen in thousands of years. They showed that hegemony forces could be hurt, that their ships could be destroyed, and that their tactics could be defeated. Luna Base to Unity Station, came Do-hyun's voice, now breathing heavily from combat stress. We have destroyed 12 enemy ships and damaged 30 more. Our losses are 7 fighters and 43 pilots. Hana felt her heart clench at the casualty numbers, but she also felt something else. Pride. Humanity had faced impossible odds and had not only survived, but had actually won victories. The hegemony force suddenly began to retreat. General Thuvan's voice came over the communication channels, speaking to his own ships. All units return to the main fleet. We need to reassess the situation. As the alien ships withdrew, cheers erupted throughout Unity Station. But Hana knew this was only the beginning. They had passed the test, but now the real war would begin. Within hours, secret messages began arriving from across the galaxy. Alien species that had been enslaved by the hegemony for centuries were asking the same question. How had humans managed to fight the great empire and live to tell about it? Kef 7 appeared on the secret communication channel, his large eyes wide with amazement. Humans, what you did today has never happened before. In 10,000 years, no species has ever made a hegemony force retreat. The news is spreading to every world in the galaxy. More messages followed. The Morphics reported that rebellion was stirring on their homeworld. The Vethans said their young people were asking why they had never tried to fight. On dozens of worlds, people were beginning to remember what freedom felt like. But the most important message came from an unexpected source. Elder Morphics, the leader of one of the galaxy's oldest species, sent a direct transmission to Earth. Commander Hana Kim of the humans, his ancient voice said, I am Elder Morphics of the Morphics people. We have been neutral in galactic politics for 5,000 years. But what we saw today changes everything. If you will accept our help, we offer you our knowledge and our friendship. Hana responded immediately. Elder Morphics, humanity is honored by your offer. We accept your friendship and hope to prove worthy of it. The Alliance was the first crack in the hegemony's control of the galaxy. For 10,000 years, every species had faced them alone. Now, for the first time, someone had an ally. Admiral Park called an emergency meeting of all Earth's military commanders. The mood in the room was different from a week ago. Instead of despair, there was hope. Instead of fear, there was determination. The hegemony will not make the same mistake twice, Park warned. Next time they will send everything they have. We need to be ready for a much larger attack. How much time do we have? Asked Commander Sarah Chen of Earth's Pacific Fleet. According to our alien sources, maybe 2 weeks. The hegemony is bringing their main battle fleets from 3 different sectors. When they attack again, it will not be a test. It will be total war. Hana looked around the room at the faces of Earth's defenders. These people had already proven they could fight against impossible odds. Now they would have to do it again, but on a much larger scale. What about our allies? She asked. The Morphics are sending technical advisors and medical supplies. 3 other species have offered to share intelligence, but none of them can send military help without revealing themselves to the hegemony. Hana nodded. She had not expected direct military support. The fact that humanity had any allies at all was more than they had dared hope for. Dr. Minji Lee raised her hand. Commander, I have been working with the Morphic's technical data. I think we can improve our weapons significantly in 2 weeks. We might even be able to build some new ships. How many ships? Park asked. Maybe 50 small fighters and 10 larger vessels. Not enough to match their numbers, but enough to make them work for every victory. Hana made her decision. Do it. Build everything we can. Train everyone who can fight, and prepare for the largest battle in human history. As the meeting ended, Hana remained behind with Admiral Park and Captain Do-hyun. The three of them looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, the largest military force in Galactic history was preparing to destroy their world. Do you think we can win? Do-hyun asked quietly. Win? Park replied. Probably not, but we can make sure they remember us. We can show the galaxy that some things are worth fighting for, even when you cannot win. Hana smiled grimly. Maybe that is enough. Maybe showing the galaxy how to fight is more important than winning one battle. The Battle of Luna had been humanity's first victory. The next battle would decide whether they would have a chance to win the war. 2 months had passed since the Battle of Luna, and the galaxy was changing in ways that no one had expected. Hana Kim stood in Unity Station's expanded communication center, watching reports flow in from across known space. What had started as humanity's desperate fight for survival was becoming something much larger. Commander, we have confirmation from the Veth system, reported Ambassador Yuna Seo, who now coordinated Earth's growing network of galactic allies. 3 planets have declared independence from the hegemony. They are calling themselves the Free Veth Republic. That makes 17 systems in open rebellion, added Dr. Minji Lee, looking up from her analysis of galactic communication networks. The hegemony is facing the largest crisis in their 10,000-year history. Hana smiled as she read the latest reports. The Free Earth broadcasts, transmitted secretly across the galaxy by their alien allies, had reached billions of enslaved people on thousands of worlds. Her simple message of choosing freedom over security had become a rallying cry for species that had forgotten what independence meant. Captain Do-hyun entered the communication center with news from Earth's expanded fleet. Commander, the new ships are ready for testing. The Morphic's technical advisors have helped us build vessels that are actually competitive with hegemony technology. How many ships do we have now? Hana asked. 200 fighters, 50 medium, cruisers, and 15 heavy battleships. Not enough to match their main fleet, but enough to help other species fight their own battles. This was the new strategy that had emerged from humanity's early victories. Instead of trying to defeat the entire hegemony alone, Earth was helping other species rediscover their ability to fight for themselves. It was working better than anyone had dared hope. A priority message alert sounded through the station. The main screen showed elder Morphics, whose ancient species had become humanity's most important ally. Commander Kim, I bring urgent news, the elder said. Our sources within the hegemony report that Overlord Vexthan himself is taking personal command of the forces being assembled against Earth. He considers humanity to be an existential threat to hegemony rule. Hana felt a chill. Overlord Vexthan was the supreme ruler of the galactic hegemony, the being who had personally conquered most of the galaxy's species. If he was taking direct action against Earth, it meant the situation had become far more serious than they had realized. How large is the force he is assembling? She asked. Over 5,000 ships, including the hegemony's most advanced vessels. But more importantly, he is also moving to crush the rebellions on other worlds. He plans to make examples of the species that have declared independence. This was exactly what Hana had feared would happen. The hegemony was preparing to end the galactic rebellion by destroying its inspiration. If Earth fell, and the other rebellions were crushed, the galaxy would return to 10,000 years of slavery. But something unexpected happened over the next few days. Instead of being discouraged by news of the massive force coming to destroy them, the rebellious species became more determined to fight. Messages poured in from across the galaxy. The KEF sent technical specifications for new weapons. The Vethans shared their knowledge of hegemony weak points. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together against their common oppressor. Most surprisingly, neutral species began to take sides. The Thargons, who had remained independent by avoiding all galactic conflicts, sent a secret message offering to provide supply bases for human ships. Even some hegemony member species began sending coded messages of support. "Commander," reported Yuna, "we are receiving a formal request from the Free Veth Republic. They want to form a military alliance with Earth. They are offering to coordinate their defense with ours." Within a week, similar requests came from 6 other rebellious systems. What had begun as humanity's fight for freedom was becoming an organized resistance movement spanning dozens of star systems. Hana called a meeting of Earth's expanded leadership council. The room now included not only human commanders but also representatives from several alien species via secure holographic communication. "The situation has changed," Hana began. "We are no longer fighting just for Earth's freedom. We are fighting for the freedom of the entire galaxy. That means our responsibilities have grown far beyond what we originally planned." Admiral Park nodded grimly. "Our intelligence sources report that the hegemony is planning simultaneous attacks on all rebellious systems. They want to crush the entire resistance movement in one massive campaign." Elder Morphix appeared via holographic projection. "The hegemony is making a critical mistake," he said in his ancient voice. "They are treating this rebellion like all the others they have faced. But this time the rebels are not fighting alone." Kep-7 joined the conversation from his hiding place in the Outer Rim territories. "The hegemony has never faced coordinated resistance before. Every previous rebellion was isolated and could be crushed individually. But now we can share information, coordinate tactics, and support each other. This was the key insight that would define the next phase of the war. For 10,000 years, the hegemony had maintained control by keeping their subjects isolated and afraid. But humanity's example had shown that cooperation was possible, and that even the great empire could be challenged. Over the following weeks, the galaxy watched as something unprecedented took shape. The Free Worlds Alliance, as it came to be, included 23 star systems and over 40 species. Earth, the smallest and youngest member, found itself at the center of the largest military alliance in galactic history. But the alliance faced enormous challenges. Most of their forces had never worked together before. Their technologies were completely different. Many species still distrusted each other due to centuries of hegemony-encouraged conflicts. Hana found herself spending most of her time not planning military strategy, but solving political problems between alien species who were trying to learn how to work together. The Vethans refused to share their defensive positions with the Kef, Captain Dohyun reported during one particularly frustrating day. They claimed the Kef cannot be trusted because they were hegemony collaborators until recently. And the Thargons want to use their supply bases only for human ships, not for any other alliance members, added Yuna. They say they trust humans, but not the other rebels. These were the growing pains of building something that had never existed before. A free alliance of equals, rather than an empire ruled by force. Dr. Minji Lee proposed a solution. What if we rotate mixed crews through all alliance ships? Humans serving on Veth vessels, Kef working on human ships, Morphix advisors everywhere. It would force everyone to learn to trust each other. The idea worked better than anyone expected. Within weeks, alliance forces were operating with a level of cooperation that surprised even their own commanders. More importantly, they were developing new tactics that combined the best ideas from dozens of different species. As reports of the alliance's success spread across the galaxy, something remarkable happened. Hegemony member species began to openly question their government's actions. Protests broke out on core worlds that had been stable for thousands of years. The final message that changed everything came from an unexpected source. General Thuvan, the hegemony military commander who had led the failed attack on Luna Base, sent a secret communication to Earth. Commander Kim, I am General Thuvan of the Hegemony Third Fleet. I have watched your species fight with honor and courage. I have also watched my own government prepare to commit genocide against civilians who want nothing more than freedom. I can no longer serve such masters. If you will accept my help, I offer you the complete battle plans for the coming assault." Hana stared at the message in amazement. A high-ranking hegemony officer was defecting to their cause. It was a sign that the Empire's unity was beginning to crack under the pressure of galactic resistance. The final battle was coming, but for the first time, Hana believed they might actually have a chance to win. The fire of freedom that had started on Earth was spreading across the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again. The final battle for galactic freedom began at the edge of the Sol system. Overlord Vexton himself commanded the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 5,000 hegemony ships faced the combined fleets of the free worlds, alliance across the cold darkness of space. Hana Kim stood on the bridge of the newly built Earth flagship Hope's Light, surrounded by officers from a dozen different species. Through the main view screen, she could see the enemy fleet arranged in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. "All Alliance fleets report ready," announced Admiral Jiho Park from his position at the tactical station. "We have 1,800 ships from 23 different worlds. Not as many as they have, but every single crew is fighting for something they believe in." Captain Do-Hyun Choi, now commanding the Alliance fighter squadrons, spoke over the communication system. "All fighters are in position. Mixed species squadrons are working together better than we dared hope." The past 6 months had transformed the galaxy. What had begun as humanity's desperate refusal to surrender had become a full-scale revolution that touched every corner of known space. The galactic hegemony, which had ruled unopposed for 10,000 years, was fighting for its very survival. Overlord Vexton's voice boomed across the communication channels, reaching every ship in both fleets. "Foolish children, you have played at revolution long enough. Today you will learn why the hegemony has ruled the galaxy since before your species discovered fire. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Hana activated her own communication system, broadcasting not just to the fleets but to every world in the galaxy, through the network of hidden transmitters the Alliance had built over months of preparation. "Overlord Vexton, I am Commander Hana, Kim of Earth, speaking for all free peoples of the galaxy. We have learned much since we first refused your peace agreement. We have learned that freedom is not something you can give or take away. It is something that lives in the hearts of everyone who chooses to stand up against oppression." She paused, looking around the bridge at her diverse crew. Humans worked alongside Kef scientists, Veth warriors, and Morphix advisors, even former hegemony officers who had defected to their cause. "Today we fight not just for our worlds, but for the right of every thinking being in the galaxy to choose their own destiny. Today we end 10,000 years of slavery disguised as peace." The battle began with a massive exchange of energy weapons that lit up the space between the fleets like a deadly aurora. But this was not like the earlier battles where human forces had been vastly outgunned. The Alliance fleet had spent months integrating technologies from dozens of species, creating weapons and defenses that even the hegemony had never seen before. "Alliance Squadron 7, break through their left flank," ordered Admiral Park. "Squadron 12, support them with covering fire." The coordinated attack worked perfectly. Alliance ships moved in patterns that confused hegemony targeting systems, while their mixed technology weapons found gaps in enemy defenses that had never been tested against such diverse firepower. But the hegemony forces were not helpless. They had the advantage of numbers and thousands of years of military experience. The battle quickly became the largest and most destructive conflict in galactic history. "Heavy casualties in Sector 4, reported Dr. Minji Lee, who was coordinating medical support across the Alliance fleet. "The hegemony is concentrating fire on our smaller ships." Hours passed as the two fleets hammered each other across millions of kilometers of space. Ships on both sides were destroyed or crippled, but slowly the Alliance forces began to gain an advantage. Their flexibility and innovative tactics were overcoming the hegemony's raw power. Then something unexpected happened that changed the course of the battle. General Thuvan, the former hegemony commander who had defected to the Alliance, appeared on the main communication channel. "All hegemony forces, this is General Thuvan. I call upon you to remember what you originally swore to protect. Was it not peace and justice for all species? Look around you. You are fighting to preserve a system that enslaves entire worlds. Is this the legacy you want to leave for your children? His words had an immediate effect. Several hegemony ships stopped firing and began broadcasting surrender signals. Others turned their weapons against their former allies. The hegemony fleet, which had seemed unstoppable, began to fall apart as doubt and rebellion spread through their ranks. Overlord Vexton, realizing that his empire was collapsing around him, made a desperate final gambit. His massive flagship began charging weapons that could destroy entire star systems. "If I cannot rule the galaxy, then no one will," his voice echoed across the battlefield. "I will destroy every world that dared to rebel, starting with the pathetic planet that began this revolution." The weapons were aimed directly at Earth. Hana knew they had only minutes before the Overlord could fire. She made a decision that would forever define her legacy. All Alliance ships, concentrate all firepower on the hegemony flagship. Everything we have. "Commander, that will leave our other fleets defenseless," Admiral Park warned. "Then we stop. Him here or we all die trying," Hana replied. Every Alliance ship in the battle turned toward Overlord Vexton's massive vessel and fired every weapon they had. The combined firepower of 1,800 ships, representing the united will of dozens of species fighting for their freedom, struck the hegemony flagship in one devastating assault. The great ship, which had been the symbol of 10,000 years of galactic oppression, exploded in a burst of light that could be seen from across the star system. With their supreme leader dead and their fleet in chaos, the remaining hegemony forces quickly surrendered. The battle was over, but more importantly, so was the war. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy underwent the greatest transformation in its history. The Galactic Peace Agreement, which had enslaved so many species for so long, was formally abolished. In its place, the Free Worlds Alliance created the Galactic Charter of Freedom, which guaranteed the right of every species to govern themselves. Hana Kim found herself elected as the first president of the Free Worlds Federation, a role she had never sought but accepted out of duty to the cause she had helped create. The Federation's capital was established not on Earth, but on a neutral world chosen by all member species working together. The former hegemony worlds were given a choice. They could join the Federation as free members, or they could maintain independence with guaranteed protection from aggression. Most chose to join, eager to experience the freedom that had been denied to them for millennia. Dr. Minji Lee established the Galactic Institute of Sciences, where researchers from every species worked together to develop technologies for healing rather than conquest. Captain Do-hyun became the commander of the Federation Defense Force, dedicated to protecting freedom rather than enforcing oppression. Admiral Park returned to Earth to oversee the transformation of humanity's military from a desperate defense force into peacekeepers for the new galactic order. But perhaps the most important change was in the ordinary people of the galaxy. Children who had grown up as slaves learned what it meant to choose their own futures. Artists and writers who had been forbidden to express themselves began creating works that celebrated the diversity of galactic culture. Scientists who had been forced to develop weapons began exploring the mysteries of the universe. On the first anniversary of humanity's refusal of the peace agreement, Hana stood once again on Unity Station, looking out at the stars. But now those stars represented something different. Instead of distant points of light hiding enslaved worlds, they were beacons of hope where free peoples built their own destinies. Ambassador Yuna Seo joined her at the observation deck. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had accepted the hegemony's offer?" Hana smiled. "Sometimes. But then I remember that some choices are not about what might happen. They are about who we choose to be." The galaxy was still healing from 10,000 years of oppression. There were still conflicts to resolve, differences to overcome, and new challenges to face. But for the first time in galactic history, these challenges would be met by free peoples working together rather than slaves following orders. Earth had become known throughout the galaxy not as the world that had refused to surrender, but as the world that had shown everyone else how to be free. It was a legacy that would endure for generations to come. The age of the galactic hegemony was over. The age of galactic freedom had begun. And it all started with one woman who chose to say no when everyone expected her to say yes. In the end, that simple refusal had changed everything.